Hi, Yadira. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you so much, Igor, for inviting me to your show.
Our pleasure. Can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to what you're currently doing?
Thank you so much. I am Yadira González Muñoz. I am the founder and CEO of IAM Magazine International. I am a best-selling author, inspirational speaker. I am also a life coach, and I think by the end of 2019, when all the frontiers were closing because of the beginning of COVID, that's when I decided to launch the magazine, IAM Magazine, and this is mostly for personal development. So I wanted to reach the whole world because the world was closing. So it was the time to take advantage and open up for reaching out for personal development for everyone. It's possible to read our magazine.
Okay, so you're reaching hundreds of thousands of people worldwide. I mean, what inspired you to create it in the first place?
IAM Magazine was born from a divine calling. Let's say a whisper that came straight from my soul. For a long time, I kept hearing the same question inside my heart. What if there was a space where people didn't just read words, but remember who they truly are? So for years, I traveled the world, as I said before, as a speaker and a life coach, helping people rediscover purpose and clarity. And I met so many who they were successful on the outside, but really felt empty or disconnected to the inside, on the inside. So they were doing, but not being. And as I mentioned before, then at the end of 2019, everything changed. Doors began to close, international events were canceled, and what we later came to know of the beginning of COVID, I remember sitting quietly one night praying, how can I keep teaching or reaching people if I can travel? And on December 19, 2019, the answer came like a vision. I saw everything, the name of the magazine, the colors, the mission, the purpose. And it wasn't a plan, it was a divine guidance. So, together with my partner and sister Jennifer, and a circle of beautiful souls that I have met through the years of speaking, we said yes to the calling. And within just a few weeks, we launched the IAM magazine in January 2020. And right as the world was shutting down, while everything outside was falling apart, just something sacred was being born, a movement of awakening. So, because I am is not just a name, we say that it's a declaration, it's like an affirmation, it's the remembrance of who we are beyond fear or imitation. And I am, for example, we always love to say, I am love, I am purpose, I am light. And that became our mission, to awaken the sacred within and remind people wherever that they are whole, healthy,
That's great. So, seems like it's really taken off. You guys have a TV show. Now you have a men's division. Is there a greater vision behind it?
well, we let's say from the beginning, I knew I Am was more than a magazine. It was a movement of remembrance, consciousness, and a human connection. So, as you say, today we have expanded to into conversations with I Am TV. This is the show, the TV show. We were here. We share real stories, transformative dialogues. We have also the upcoming Voice, the I Am Voice podcast. So yeah, that is for in the future. It's also a space for stories that awaken, and the I Am Men's division that we're going to be launching it officially in January 2026. So why do we launch the men's division is mostly because we have a vision for men that we can create a conscious media that awakens, empowers, and unites. And that is what we want to really create for men. We were creating something for women. Now we want to create something for men that is, that will bring some awakening of awareness for men to be able to reach out and talk and know that they are going to be listened and heard and helped too.
It sounds like you're creating a safe space for men. Is that your vision, or what exactly is your vision for men as opposed to what your vision was for women? Are they the same? Are they different?
Let's say that it is the same, but as we started actually a magazine for women, um, it was to help readers to become the best versions of themselves with personal development articles. Every article is written by professionals, completely professionals in every area of life. So we were doing this for women, and then we realized that 49% of the readers were men. When something happened with me, with my son last year, I decided that I needed to create something, a special space for men, that they also needed to be heard, and maybe read articles also in a professional way for personal development, for growth, for help, for so it's a community. We are behind the scenes of the men's division, but it's actually a magazine created by men for men. So all the professionals, all the writers are professionals who are writing every article from heart, but with their expertise to help each one of the readers. So it's a community for men to be able to open up, to have an awakening and an awareness that they're not alone. They can call someone, talk with someone, communicate with someone to do whatever they need to. It's not only about becoming best of yourself. It's personal development. It's about coaching. It's about finances. It's about a little bit of everything we have in the magazine. A community for men.
Okay, well that sounds very interesting. I'm looking forward to when you launch in January, right,
Yes.
2026. And I'm looking forward to having a look myself and see what's there. It's definitely a space that I'm interested in. And as a matter of fact, I was just listening to a podcast that I like, and there was a business professor who's also an entrepreneur, and he was on the podcast promoting a book about how men are falling behind in the current day, and how they're, because of the last several decades, have really seen sort of the push to get women into colleges and get women into the workspace. Now what we're seeing is that women are out competing men in college. There's much more women graduates, and men are falling behind and not having the same type of economic opportunity. And with that are some sort of drawbacks, because now not only are men kind of suffering and it's harder for them to find relationships, but also for women who need men out there, who need the breadwinners and the earners. Women are now having a hard time finding men. So it was a very interesting topic that he wrote a book on, and he was bringing up, and he's been doing a whole tour on the media promoting his book and the whole idea. So, speaking of the media, you mentioned that you help entrepreneurs and coaches become media ready.
Yes.
What does that mean, and how is that important in today's world?
Well, it is very important. As you know, it has become a digital world, so everybody needs to know a little bit to how to be visualized or recognized worldwide or internationally. So through IAM Magazine, we have the Media Ready method, and we help coaches and leaders and entrepreneurs become visible, not just online, but on their energy and truth. Because we believe that being media ready isn't about creating a version of yourself that looks perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm so sorry to say that. It is about remembering who you are, who we really are, and allowing that authentic self to be seen. Because in today's world, visibility is power, but authenticity is influence. When your message, your voice, and your energy aligns, you naturally attract the right people and opportunities. So we teach our clients to stop chasing attention and start radiating authenticity. Because when you show up from your soul, the world can feel it. And then there's the true connection between the client or the person that is seeing you with yourself, with who you really are. And that's true visibility. That's the power of being media ready, because we are no perfection, We all want to be perfect, but it doesn't exist. You just have to be yourself.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. It feels much better to be yourself. When I started doing these podcasts, I was really nervous and I thought I had to sort of come in and have my game face on and sort of only show a side of myself. But as I got more comfortable, I started kind of just being myself more. And with that, I began enjoying my conversations more and enjoying the process. And I think, when we launch, you'll really be able to see the progression. And I think those conversations that I'm having, being myself, is are gonna do a lot better, than the ones that were in the very beginning. If we publish those, maybe we won't. So
You should. But it's normal, because for us at the beginning, we also wanted perfection. I wanted to be seen as the perfect, the best selling, the perfect speaker, the perfect. But then I realized with time, is like, it's not about perfection. It's about who you are. It's about showing up, about being authentic, and you just need to do that. And people are really going to connect with authenticity with you, with your own you, the real one.
well, some people have, a fear of being in front of the camera and they're afraid to do that. So, do you have any advice for those people that are kind of fearful of putting themselves out there? It's not always easy.
Yeah, I know. I believe I understand, because I was afraid too. I had that fear, but I always tell them, or I will tell the people that are also listening to this, being seen is not about showing off. It's about showing up. Fear is just the energy that hasn't yet been transformed. So when you connect to your story and realize that your voice can change someone's life, even if it's one person, fear begins to dissolve. So we help our clients to shift from what if I am not enough to who can I serve through my truth. So that's the most important thing. Who can I serve? Who can I serve? So we believe that your story, it doesn't matter if it's not as much of interest of that you think, but if you tell your story with confidence, when you show your authentic part, people are gonna like you. People are gonna show up. People are gonna, probably you will have one person that is gonna say, he's or she's going through the same thing I'm going through. And if she did it or he did it, I can do it too. So it's just like I always say, maybe we have 10,000 readers in the magazine. Maybe they find one article. But if it's one person that is changed for a story that is told in the magazine, that is more than enough, because you're changing someone. So confidence doesn't come from pretending. It comes from presence. When you speak from your heart, people don't just listen, they feel you and they understand you, and then they connect with you. And that's what true media is about. It's about connection. Your story, your voice, your authenticity, they become the bridge that helps others heal and grow and believe again. Believe in yourself, and I can do it. If they can do it, I can do it too. So that's the basis of it.
Okay, thank you for sharing. So, now you've been growing your magazine since COVID, right? And
Yes, in
so,
2020. Yes, yes, yes,
w-
exactly.
what are some of the challenges that you've come across and you've encountered in the last several years?
Well, challenges. Let's see. We have. We have a lot of challenges. We always have challenges. But one of the biggest challenge, I think, is at the beginning to know each other, to know who are the right people that we want to show up, who is the right niche. But we think that challenges are for everything. We have challenges for everything, but we have to learn how to grow with them. So every challenge is a lesson, and we have to learn to be able to solve that challenge, to find the solution, to go to probably more advantages that we can learn from people. Our magazine has growth from collaborations. At the beginning, we really had the challenge of how are we going to do this? Who are we going to find? Who are we going to work with? And while the years passed by, we realized those challenges were just, not really big challenges. Now we are actually having collaborators, partners, and we have been growing together on this way with partners and collaboration. So challenges, there are many, as long as we are really not confronting them, but it has come very easy. I think it's mostly because I was already a coach and talking to people, that the moment that I moved from coaching to the magazine, it was even easier with the communication or the writing to be able to speak to people in that way.
That's great. So you were able to utilize your expertise in another project. So,
Yes.
you mentioned you're launching the men's division in 20. What else is on the horizon? What other initiatives do you have beyond that?
I think, like I tell you right now, is the IAM Voice podcast. We are launching also the IAM Magazine for men's division. So actually, we really want to grow more. We really want to grow further. We really want to help men raise, like you were talking about this podcast, and some men, the real thing is that some men are not strong enough, or really, I'm not going to say strong enough, that's the wrong word. They are not, like with the culture, we speak about don't cry, men cannot have feelings, you have to be the strong person. So what we really want in the future is that men are able to speak out and to speak up, because probably they are not, I'm not going to say sure enough, but they don't have that strength to say to his wife, to his sister, to his mother, to someone else, say, this is happening to me. And I don't know how to get out of it, or I don't know how to solve it, or I don't know how to do it. And they don't cry. They don't feel, they're like, okay, I need to be strong. I need to swallow this. I cannot be complaining. What we really want is men to take that opening, that they say, this is happening to me. Can I talk about it? Can I cry? Can I have a word with you? What I'm saying is not with women. We should be there to help you men in this situation. But I know that you maybe not feel comfortable speaking with another woman. And that's why we created the men's division. So men can speak to men about what they have, their issues, their troubles, their questions, their things. And that is the community we want to create. So in the future, we want men to be able to speak, to have a voice, and to say,
Yeah,
this is happening
right,
to me. How can I solve it? Can I cry? I don't
right.
need to be the
No,
strong
that's
person.
well. I think what you're saying is great. And if I may kind of share my opinion, I have opinion on everything that you've said, and I think I'm for the most part in alignment with what you said. So I think in men's role in the family is to be the rock, the emotional stone. I think that's not a bad thing. I like to think of men's role as the leader. And so there's two parts. One part is that men as the leader, if something is going wrong, they should not show it, because if they come home to the wife and the kids and something is wrong, and they start showing and they start crying, I mean, that's going to scare their whole team. It's like on a project, if the project is going wrong and the leader of the project says, "Oh, I don't know what to do, I don't know, like everything's going wrong," all of the subordinates are going to lose face, right? So I think as a man, as a leader, he should keep himself composed and not show that side. But at the same time, there's another side to that. And I think when things are not going okay, a man cannot just hold it in entirely. That's where the space comes in of what you're talking about. You know, I go to my friends and to them I say, "Oh, this is going wrong, this is going wrong," and I can't believe that. I'm not going to cry to them, but I'll vent and I'll get feedback and they'll say, "Oh, don't worry about it," or they'll give me feedback and then they'll make me feel better. I can show up to my team and say, "Okay, this is how we're going to move forward. We had a little hiccup. It's no big deal. We're going to move forward." But I think it's important to not show distress to your team that you're trying to lead. But at the same time, it is okay to have a space and to have people there that you can go to and share, your emotions, your feelings, things that maybe aren't always going to plan and going how you expect, right? So I think those are two very separate things. And I think our society
Mm.
really tries to push those two things together. And I really think they don't belong together because, it's just not attractive when a man cries to a woman. And I think our society's kind of saying like that's okay, but I don't think so. I think a man should cry to other men, but not to the team that he's leading. So that's just my opinion on the issue. And I think what you're doing is you're setting up a platform for men to have that space and to speak to other men, and you're kind
Mm.
of leaving it as a platform. And I think that's a really a good thing and a helpful thing to have out there.
Yeah. Well, like
So
you say, I understand that sometimes you don't want to cry in front of your wife or in the cream on the team, like you say, it will go down. But I believe that if you have a wife that is supposed to support you, if you really need that support, that moment that I am feeling weak and you cannot go to your partner to say this is happening to me, then that's a big thing, that's a big trouble. And that's why I understand. I say, okay, we need men to start talking and feeling and saying. And if they don't have that person to talk to, a woman, then there you have the team of men that are going to be there to support you, not only professional, but also as a friend. And that's why it is important. But men also should cry, once in a while it's not bad. Maybe you can just take it out and then you're fine again. But yeah,
I mean,
I understand.
I
That's the
think
culture. Men are supposed to be strong and don't cry.
I think
You,
going to a boxing class will probably have the same sort of catharsis, right? Getting the feelings out as crying might. So I think for a man, it may be healthier to go and lift some weights, go for a run, or go to a boxing class to sort of get it out and get that mental clarity that follows crying for women, right? So,
true.
but I think yeah, what you're doing is great, and yeah, I'm
Thank
looking
you.
forward to seeing how that comes out. So, your story sort of includes some personal loss and resilience. Has that shaped your vision and your sort of decisions and your focus? And is that something you'd like to share with us?
Yeah. Well, this question really touches my heart deeply because last year, as I said, I mentioned in 2024, I faced a most painful experience of my life, and I think moms that had gone through or parents that had gone through, they know the loss. Well, the pain that was the loss of my son, and no words can truly describe the kind of heartbreak that this creates. It's changed everything completely. But through this pain, I found grace, and I realized that love never ends. It simply transformed. I cannot touch him, I cannot see him, but it transformed because his love now lives through me, through this mission. That's why we created for men, and through I also see it in the two beautiful grandchildren, my grandkids that he left for me to watch grow. So the loss, that loss taught me what true resilience means. Not avoiding pain, but allowing love to guide you through it. It is difficult. I still feel it sometimes. This also opened my heart to the pain many men carry silently, because that's why we are creating the men's division to create spaces where men can heal, express, and transform. Because I knew, even though I talked to my son, even I thought that everything was fine, it wasn't. And I don't want that men think that it's always like this. I don't want them to know or to think that they cannot go to someone that can help them out with what they feel. So yeah, I know that spaces where strength and vulnerability can coexist, and I believe my son's light continues through everything I create, especially now with the men's division. So his legacy lives in every heartbeat of this new creation for men.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing. And I'm sorry to hear about your son. It sounds very recent. And I do want to add that it is really important to have a group, or a group of people as a man, to go and to talk about things. I mean, that's super important. What I was talking about is the two different sides and the two different audiences for that. But to have the audience of other men and a support group to rely on, whether it's friends or whether it's a space like you're creating, a platform like you're creating, or anything else, is just super important. Having that community is the right
Yes.
word. So I'm very happy to hear that, you're making, I know, a good thing out of the tragedy tragedy that's occurred in your life. And so thank you again for sharing that.
Thank you.
And so, to wrap things up, for those listeners that would like to build a platform, would like to build something of their own, what piece of advice would you like to give them that would help bring their vision to reality?
Well, here's I want every soul to listen to remember, that is listening to remember. Always remember that you are already enough. That you are already that you're carrying enough that you need everything that you need within you. You have it already. You already carry everything inside of you. And don't wait until you feel ready. Just start, because sometimes we like, I'll do it when I'm ready, or I'm not ready yet and I don't know how to do it. No, take that one step. Speak one truth and write one line. You need to do it. Do it as soon as you believe that you can do it. I mean, it's just, you just move on and declare it. I, like we say, declare it loud. I am ready. I am worthy. I am the voice that awaking others. I believe in the I am, the power of I am. Because every time you say I am, you activate your power. You connect to source, to the source within you. The same energy that creates worlds. Your story matters. Your message matters. And the world is waiting for the highlight that only you can bring. So just take that step. Sometimes it's difficult, but the moment that you make that step, it's like, wow, I could do it. I did it.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom and coming on and sharing your story and your goals, and aspirations, and your work with us. Thank you, Yadira, for being a guest today.
Thank you.